powerful car that I've ever owned and driven. Had to learn how it delivers the power. My first drive was in peak hour traffic in Sydney, so it was pretty hard to learn, but I did get used to it pretty quickly. It's a very easy car to drive.
So now you've been driving the Porsche 911 for a while. What's your thoughts on how it handles on the road, steering and round corners and things?
It's different to drive. It's a rear engine car, so the weight's in the back, which is traditionally a 911 thing. They're all rear engine cars. It's a two-wheel drive, so it's different. It doesn't feel like same old BMW. So you got to get used to the weight being in the back, which has its intricacies. Let's say you get a little bit more understeer in the front with the weight being in the back. But I mean, Porsche just know how to design a car that handles well and is easily controlled by the driver. And that's something that's really just stood out to me, is how well designed this car is. It's the best car I've ever driven and owned. I picked this car up in Sydney. I'd flown over to buy it from Adelaide. I'd actually already purchased it online. I'd never seen it until the day I picked it up. The place I bought it was really good. It was a company, and they picked me up from the railway station and took me up to their warehouse, and so I saw it for the first time sitting out the front of the warehouse when I got dropped off. Over from Sydney to Wollongong, where I stayed over the first night. The trip down was amazing, so I got through Sydney pretty well. Thankfully I knew where I was. Managed to get to Wollongong safely. Stayed overnight in Wollongong, and then the next day I visited a friend down south. Drove down to Kiama, which is a touristy beach spot, and then drove to Albury for the first night. So I stayed in Albury, out on the open road. It was comfortable. The scenery is amazing going through the Great Dividing Range. Got dark as I was driving, so I got to experience everything. And from Albury the next day I drove all the way through to Adelaide. It was a 12-hour drive. Absolutely fantastic. I've never driven a car that I felt so comfortable in out in the open road. I pulled over for stops just when I needed to get something to eat or have a break, but I actually didn't sleep at all on the way back, and that's never happened to me before when I've done that long a trip. And yeah, got back into Adelaide. I was just so excited about the whole drive and the experience of driving this car.
This is interesting, isn't it? You can
doing a bit of pre-fire work.
Yeah, it's that sort of stuff. Yeah. As someone who's a first-time buyer to one of these cars, how is it the car to drive?
Well, this car is very comfortable. I think out of all the cars I've ever owned, this is by far the most comfortable to sit in. It takes a little bit of effort to get in. It's very low, and the seating position's low, so you need to squeeze yourself in. But once you're in, you just feel like it's wrapped around you. The seats are sport seats, so they've got a little bit of extra bolstering, and you really notice that when you're cornering, how firmly it holds you. But even out on the road, on the open road, they're so comfortable that you don't feel at any point of your body is in pain or anything that feels unnatural. I've been in an earlier 911 and it's very tight. Your feet don't feel like they've got anywhere to go. This one just feels roomy. It feels like you've got all the space you need. You don't feel like that your feet can't move anywhere. The steering wheel is nice to hold. I would probably prefer a slightly fatter rim. That's just me. I'm thinking about putting Alcantara on it as well, which is more of a suede grip. Just feels a bit better on the hands. But other than that, look, Porsche know how to make a good car, and there's not much I can complain about. It's so well designed. My other car's E46 BMW. It's only a 320i, which hopefully will change soon. I've got a 3-litre engine to build up to that. That's not bad on fuel, being a smaller 6-cylinder. I think I average around about 10.3 litres per 100 on that. Economy wise, I'm running around about 11.1 litres per 100. So it's pretty decent considering the amount of power. The engine's a 3.6 litre flat 6. This car's had a couple of things done to it by the previous owner. It had sport suspension put in, which is just IBEC lowered springs, and it looks great, it rides great, it's very firm. The problem that I have is that the shock absorbers are the standard shock absorbers, and when you lower a car and don't change the shock absorbers, you tend to get a rougher ride. So one of the things I'm looking at doing at the moment is to change the suspension a little bit. It's either going to be putting in a shorter shock absorber or putting coilovers, and that's really the only way you can change that. I would like it to be a little bit smoother, especially around Adelaide with our real rubbish roads. It's a little bit too harsh. I do like the firm springs though, because it just helps so well.
Yeah, that's cool.
And the other thing that the previous owner did was put on a sports exhaust, which I'm really glad he did, because this thing sounds amazing. I probably will change the tyres at some stage, and I'm thinking about a wheel change in the future.
Grip's incredible, Andrew. Jump the bike, beautiful view. What a car. That's all I can say. It's been an amazing experience, and it's beautiful.
Well, one of the reasons I got this car was because because of these hills around Adelaide. You know, I think we're so blessed in Adelaide that we've got hills behind us, we've got the beach down not far away. So wherever you go in Adelaide, you've got somewhere really great to drive. And this car through these hills is just sensational. If you did have the means to buy a Porsche 911, do it. You won't experience much better. Yeah, you could buy a Lamborghini or Ferrari, but well, you're spending a lot more money than what it costs to buy one of these. And to be honest, I don't think the fun factor would be any more.
After being in one of these, if I had the money, I would buy one. It's amazing. We've got beautiful scenery here. It's just lovely on this road we're travelling on. It's also an